Hi, I'm Jeff Thomas from Nasdaq. We're broadcasting here live from Silicon Slopes. I'm here with Doug Merritt, CEO of Splunk. Doug, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jeff. Very happy to be here.
Fantastic. Doug, we've all been through a lot over the last couple of years with COVID and everything that's gone on in the world. And if anything, it has dramatically accelerated the digital transformation that's gone on. Tell us about how Splunk has helped to help companies deal with that digital transformation imperative.
Yeah, it's so funny, these terms that get this almost a meme around it. And we've been talking about digital transformation forever, but we got to live it. You read about it, and now everybody had to get online as quickly as possible. And the interesting thing is, as we were talking about earlier, I think we're just at the very beginning. It's crazy, but when you really look at most healthcare companies and manufacturing companies and logistics and supply chain, and there is so much more they have to do to really, really be digitized in all their business processes. What that means as you start as a company is now your systems become mission critical. They are customer facing, they're employee facing in a way that they can't go down. Like we all experienced what would have happened if, forget airlines, we weren't traveling, but our Uber app went down, or our food ordering, God forbid, our food ordering app went down during COVID. And those systems are really complex. You know, we thought the cloud would make it simpler. It doesn't. It makes it much more difficult because you typically have got all these wonderful ancient systems you're combining with these brand new cool cloud systems. And those cloud landscapes are very, very, very complex. There's hundreds of services. And what Splunk does a great job of is looking at all the data that every single thing that has any type of connectivity or silicon generates. Mm-hmm. All these things are talking all the time. They're very, very chatty. And we do a great job of taking this very complex, convoluted, non-structured, typically data that's changing all the time, bringing it into a format where you can now ask it questions in a easy language, and the technology is able to help you make sense of it so that you can keep your systems secure. You can make sure they're up. You can understand the customer experience, but you can now make sure that these customer-facing, employee-facing, partner-facing systems are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, and so many of the challenges and maybe opportunities that we have now are based on that data. You know, if you think about the challenges the healthcare system is facing today, you know, there's all this data out there. How do you make sense of it, and how can that accelerate, you know, for example, finding cures?
Absolutely. Yeah, we've another element that Splunk has leaned in on is we've been talking about the digital divide for about 20 years now, and we made some great headway, I think, over the past 20 years. More work to do, but we're getting better at delivering systems to countries and populations that can't afford them, and finding new ways to power them. And but I think what we are seeing now is there's a coming data divide, that there's so much data being generated, and there's a lot like the digital divide. There's a lack of skills and even awareness of all this data and what should I do with it. And then, as we've been talking about on and on for 5 or 6 years now, we've got to be thoughtful about where the data is going. Is it being accumulated in too few spots? Mm-hmm. And how open and accessible is the data? Because there's so much power and insight in that data, and it always is better if hundreds or thousands or millions of people can actually play with the data. It could help with, you know, a faster set of therapies for COVID. It could help with better economic distribution to help people more effectively, you know, work and live and play as we are dealing with the economic divide. And it can solve anything as long as it's available to people and people know what to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things a lot of people don't know about Nasdaq is we don't just run a stock exchange in the US. We actually power over 100 exchanges around the globe. And one of the things we're doing is we're moving all of that technology into the cloud. Splunk's been a big part of that transformation for us. So can you talk a little bit about some of the work you've done in financial services and how to help with that digital divide?
Yeah, getting closer to Nasdaq through the years has been phenomenal, because so many of us, I was one of them, just think of you as the exchange, the Nasdaq exchange, and what you do to power so many corporations globally, and then to be the exchange for so many others is amazing. And your own cloud journey, a lot like ours, we were an on-prem solution when we were founded 18 years ago, and we had still in the process of finishing shifting all of that to be an effective set of cloud services and then changing the business. You guys have been hard at work on the same journey. It's been so helpful to compare notes and to have you as a great feedback source of what do we have to do with our own products. But as you and every other financial services firm is trying to fight this whole new set of fintech upstarts that are coming, all the DeFi and crypto chaos that's happening, I think those systems become so incredibly important. And one of the advantages that I feel Splunk uniquely brings is the data that we're collecting to try and provide that security and operational integrity and application developer insight. In that same data is a boatload of operational information. There's customer information, there's partner information, there's employee information that needs to be treated properly. It needs to be either encrypted appropriately or dealt with. But if you can marry that with the systems data, then there's a whole bunch of operational efficiencies that organizations can drive as well. So working with you guys, we've really helped advance some of these use cases that take us beyond those classic tech use cases into much more customer facing and customer service oriented use cases as well.
Now, you mentioned your transformation from on-prem to the cloud, and you guys were executing that during COVID. So tell us a little bit about your own personal journey leading through that level of change with some of the challenges we've had.
Yeah, I'd definitely say the past 18, 20 months has been the hardest of anything I've experienced in my 30 years in my career. And I think it was that combination of we'd been working for years to finally get our cloud business to be the predominant aspect of the business. And that tipping point began to happen just as we went into COVID. And as the Harvard Business Review cases show over and over, when you are changing your business models, and we also happen to be changing our pricing model, that has financial impact. So our P&L is been difficult to discern, as we've got upfront revenue, which is non-cloud with the cloud revenue all mixed together. And that shouldn't be that big of a deal, other than you now have got a lot of investor interest and enthusiasm, some negative, some not. And that impacts employees, which impacts customers, which impacts partners. At the same time, you're trying to teach everybody new skills. How to be a cloud company, what kind of operational metrics matter on a day in, day out basis, what new services have to be coupled with our cloud, what new go-to-market motions have to occur, how do you communicate to customers when you can't meet with them face-to-face anymore. So I think that incredible, unexpected confluence of events definitely has had all of us at Splunk, me included, sleeping less, working longer hours, trying to figure out every way we can to up the communication and keep this amazing momentum. Our cloud business continues to grow in excess of 70%. Our overall annual recurring revenue is mid 30s to low 40s, so in growth rates. So it's an amazing business that is incredibly important. 92 of the Fortune 100 rely on Splunk, and then another 20,000 customers outside of those. So important business that's growing, but super hard to be dealing with that much change when you're a remote and people are fearful on things like basic health and education.
Well, and speaking of your customers, your big user conference, Splunk.conf, is coming up. So I'd love to hear a little bit about what you expect there, and I'd love to learn a little bit more about the name.
Yeah, thank you for calling that out, Jeff. Yep. So next Tuesday, everybody, we kick off .conf. We were really, really hopeful to be a blended live, in person and virtual event. It is all live, so you'll actually see me giving my presentation live. But we went all virtual because of the fears on Delta variant and the different personal preferences we saw. So we're really excited about that conference. Everything at Splunk has got a double entendre. It's kind of the foundation of the company, and .conf, it's a conference, but it stands for the configuration file. The series of configuration files that are important, and you're trying to tune a Splunk environment. And yeah, really, really exciting event. The beauty of Splunk is it's so flexible that customers can take it in ways that we never thought of. And Conf for me is a time to now virtually spend time with customer after customer to hear their stories. Like, what are they doing beyond the use cases that we're used to? We've got some amazing stories from customers. Walmart is going to be talking about how they're really uniquely trying to address a hybrid environment of cloud and non-cloud, and how critical Splunk is to the 220 million weekly online users that they're trying to serve. We're seeing Chipotle and Nasdaq talk about how Splunk has helped power their rapid digital transformation. Colleges like University of Illinois and Cal Poly, on how Splunk is integral to them trying to manage their security and their teacher and student experience. We're talking about some of the great relationships we're continuing to drive with Accenture, AWS, Deloitte, we've got an amazing SAP solution that we've been working on that's now hitting prime time, and Deloitte's the #1 SAP partner out there. So a lot of work with Accenture, but we're now beginning to leverage Deloitte in some of their areas that they're super strong in the landscape around us. And then a bunch of tech innovation. I'm really excited about the product innovations that we're rolling out around our observability suite to help application developers, all the advancements we've been making around security. There's some really, really interesting things we're pushing out there, and the continued progression of the underlying data platform to make it easier for people to find data, get it into the system, interrogate it, and make it of value to an organization.
Well, from driving the digital transformation to conquering the digital divide to moving to the cloud and then supporting 20,000 customers, sounds like you've been busy. So thanks for coming in, Doug, and spending a little bit of time talking to us.
Thank you, Jeff. It's great to be here. It's nice to see you in person.
Yes.